video, I wanted to share with you 15 different ingredients that you guys can spread and make a lot of different meals with. So let me share with you some of my favorite recipes using only 15 ingredients. Let's get started. Okay guys, so for this video, we're going to be doing 15 different ingredients to make meals for a whole week. That doesn't mean there's going to be 7 whole meals I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be sharing with you 5, but there's going to be leftovers. There's usually leftovers in a bunch of these meals. So this is going to feed my family for a whole week with only 15 ingredients. So let me share with you, we have some hamburger beef. We're going to need 3 pounds of hamburger beef right there. And then I need some mixed vegetables, or if you guys just want to do like some peas and carrots, that's fine too. So I have 2 bags. I believe I'm going to be using all of those. I need 3 bags of tater tots, or we have some crispy crowns. I like to make one of my casseroles, and I'll share with you in a little bit. I like to make with the crispy crowns. We need some black beans. I believe we're going to need about 2 cans worth, but I just like to buy this. It's a lot cheaper, and I'm just going to cook it up in the Instant Pot, put it into bags, and so I just usually like to do those instead of the cans. It's just a lot cheaper. I'm also going to need some chicken. If you guys like doing like the canned chicken, that's going to be fine too. I believe we'll need 5 cans. Otherwise, I'm just going to be using this amount of chicken breast. So I'm going to need about 5 pounds of chicken breast. We need some cheese. The Mexican style is usually our go-to. I feel like we use the Mexican style for pretty much most of our dishes. So you're just going to need a lot of cheese. Probably closer to like, I'm going to say at least 3 pounds of cheese is what we're going to need for this whole week. We're going to need some chicken broth. We're actually going to need 2 of these boxes of cornbread mix. So I'm actually going to have to go to the store and grab one more because I thought I had 2, but I just have 1. We're going to need some egg noodles. We're going to need 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, 1 can of corn, and then 3 cans of cream of chicken soup. And then we're going to need 1 can of Rotel and an onion. So that is 15 ingredients, you guys. Let's get started on making some delicious meals this week. Okay, this is going to be my favorite casserole of all time. We make this all the time. It's going to be Cowboy Casserole. So I'm going to need 1 pound of ground beef. We're just going to make sure it's nice and cooked through, and then we're also going to drain off any excess grease. All right, we're going to bring our ground beef back to the pan. I'm going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, or you guys can make homemade cream of mushroom soup. Also, I'm going to need 1/3 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of sour cream. Then I like to add about 1/2 teaspoon each of pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, and then giving that a good stir, making sure all that is combined. Now I'm going to add 1 can of corn, 1 can of Rotel, and then I like to add just a little bit of black beans to this and some cheese. So I'm going to add 1 cup of mixed shredded cheese that you saw at the very beginning of the video. And then I'm also going to add 1 cup of black beans. You can also add olives if you guys prefer that. I love a good mixture of black beans, corn, and Rotel in my dishes. So that's what I did there. I put this in a 9x13 pan, and I'm just smoothing it out so that it's nice and even. I'm just going to go ahead and put this whole bag of hash brown crowns right on top. I really like using these crowns, even though they're a tad bit more expensive. They are so good in my opinion. They just end up being a lot more crispier and tastier than the other ones. And then another 1.5 cups of cheese right on top of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this in the oven at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. You just want to make sure everything is nice and crispy on top. Look at that cheese and how good it looks. It's all melted and ready to go. And usually the corners will kind of start to bubble, and that's how you know it is ready to go. You guys, this is so good. You can have it by itself. You can have it with just like a slice of bread would be really good too. This is seriously the best Cowboy Casserole I've ever made. It is so good. I love this casserole. It is just so satisfying. Okay, next we're going to be making this chicken tot pie. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get a pretty large bowl, and we need 1 cup of sour cream at the very bottom. We're also going to do 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. Just make sure you get all of that out. I don't know, I feel like it takes me forever to get those out. I don't know what the deal is. But then we're going to need 12 ounces of mixed vegetables. And then I also did about 3 to 4 cups of chicken. It ends up being about 2 pounds of chicken. And then 1/2 cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt, giving that a really good stir, getting that mixed through properly. And then once it's all mixed through, we're going to put that to the side. We're going to get our 9x13 pan and just lightly grease that. Now we're just going to go ahead and pour our mixture at the very bottom. And of course, I'm going to make sure that it is nice and level. And then I have about 1/2 cup of cheese that I'm going to put on top of that mixture. And then I have a whole bag of tater tots, which is about 30-ounce bag of tater tots. And then I'm going to put the remaining cheese right on top of that. Place this in the oven at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. You just want to make sure that those tater tots are nice and cooked through. I love a good crispy tater tot. This was really good. I do enjoy a good chicken pot pie, but this one just has like a different twist to it that I really did enjoy. I love tater tots, so what's not to love about this meal? I had all the vegetables, the tater tots, the chicken in it. This would pair really well with like a salad, some bread, or any type of side that you really desire, but I think a salad would go perfect with this, which is what we paired ours with. This was a delicious meal. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. Okay, this is probably going to be the easiest one out of everything that I made in this video. This is like a sloppy Joe tater tot casserole. So I'm just going to need 1 pound of ground beef, and you can make this exactly how you would usually make sloppy Joes. You know, it doesn't have to be this way. Typically, I think I would do sloppy Joes with like the canned stuff, but I made it a little bit more homemade just because I had all the ingredients in my fridge. And so I just did it that way. I didn't have to go out and buy another can of sloppy Joe mix. So this is 1 cup of ketchup. Then I added about 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I added about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, and then about 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, and just kind of gave that all a good stir until it came to a simmer. I did use a little bit of onions, about 1/2 cup of onions as well. You definitely don't have to, especially if your kids don't like onions. My kids were kind of like meh about the onions, but you're just going to put this at the bottom of a 9x13 pan. And then we have our tater tots. You guys can use whatever tater tots you want, or the crowns. I definitely prefer the crowns. Those are like top tier in my opinion. But we're just going to go ahead and put that in the oven for 20 minutes. Once the tater tots have cooked for 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add about 2 cups of the shredded cheese, and then just let that cook in the oven for another 10 minutes. I did cook this at 350 the entire time. This is what it's coming out to look like. So it's definitely so good. I love all the different varieties of having sloppy Joes instead of just the boring all sloppy Joes. Typically we would have sloppy Joes with tater tots anyways, so this kind of just all made sense in my opinion. And you can have this with like a side salad or some chips, or some like chips and queso or chips and salsa would be really good with this. Okay, now we're going to be making this chicken noodle casserole, and I have made this so many different ways, and really I don't have one that I just like absolutely love. This one's really good, so I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys. So I'm going to do 10 ounces of egg noodles. I'm just going to go ahead and get started on that first because I need to do that and the chicken first before we do anything else. So I'm also going to be cooking up 2 pounds of chicken. I already diced them up. I'm also in a large bowl. I'm going to be adding 1 cup of milk, and then about 10 ounces of mixed vegetables, 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, 1 cup of mayonnaise that I almost like slipped out of my hand there. I'm also going to add about 1 cup of shredded cheese, and then I'm just going to give that a good stir, getting all that mixed through properly. Then it should be a really nice creamy texture. So once all that's stirred through, my chicken should be done by then. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add that to our pan. 1 to 2 pounds of chicken is going to be, you know, suffice for this meal. If you don't have a lot of chicken, I think it's still going to be fine, because we are having some noodles with this. So it's going to end up being okay. Okay, so once our noodles are done cooking, I just put that at the bottom of a 9x13 pan, and then I put all of our like sauce mixture, mix that all together, and now I'm going to put the rest of that cup of cheese right on top of that. And of course you guys can add more cheese if you guys prefer. I'm typically more on the side of let's add more versus less. I'm also going to be doing a topping, so I need 1 stick of butter. Just go ahead and melt that. And then I have these like panko crumbs, just bread crumbs really. I didn't put them at the very beginning of the video. I totally forgot when I showed you everything. It was actually 14 ingredients, so these breadcrumbs will make 15. So you can count it out and see. I'm telling you guys. I just didn't want you guys to think that I'm just like adding a whole bunch of random stuff, because I don't really feel like everybody has breadcrumbs in their pantry, so I wanted to add that in. And then I just topped it with some butter, placed this in the oven at 350 for 30 to 40 minutes. Just wanted to make sure everything was nice and cooked through. Everything is looking so good. I love a good like breadcrumb mixture on top, whether it's like breadcrumbs or like Cheez-Its or Ritz. I don't know what it is, but I love a good crunch to my casserole dishes. You guys, this is so cheesy. My kids were like in love with it because they just thought it was just so cheesy and so delicious. Okay, the last one is one of my favorites as well. We just did like this cornbread casserole. So I need about 2 pounds of chicken that I just diced up, and I'm just letting it cook in some bacon grease. I did salt and pepper this, and I highly considered putting some paprika just because I love the flavor of it, but I just omitted it this time. But it ended up being pretty flavorful. But I think if I do it again, I probably would, just because I love my chicken to be a little bit more on the flavorful side. Once it's done cooking, I do need this pan, so I'm going to take all the chicken out and just kind of put it in a bowl and set it to the side. I need 1/3 cup of butter that we're just going to go ahead and melt on this stove. Okay, now I need 1/2 cup of onion. And then I just used the remaining of the vegetables that I had. So it ended up being about 1 cup, which is right at what you're wanting. But if you don't have very much, it's going to be okay too. You can also add in some like canned vegetables if you have any. Also did 1/4 cup of flour, and I'm just going to mix that together just to kind of get all that flour cooked through, and then just cook that for just a couple minutes. 1.5 cups of chicken broth that I'm just going to add a little bit at a time. Just to kind of mix it through as I'm going here. And I don't have a very big saucepan, so I'm kind of taking my time on stirring it because I don't want anything to overflow. And then I added 1/2 cup of milk to the mixture as well. Okay, while that is thickening up, I did 2 boxes of Jiffy Cornbread mix. And then I just did it how it said to do on the back of the box. So I need 2 eggs and 2/3 a cup of milk. Obviously, I'm going to give that a good stir and get that all combined, making sure it's nice and smooth and creamy. To my 9x13 pan, I did lightly grease that, and I'm just going to put that mixture right at the very bottom. It did thicken up quite a bit, so I just put that at the bottom, and now I'm going to go ahead and top it with my chicken and just give that a good stir, getting that all combined really nicely. And then once that's combined, then I'm just going to add just a little bit of cheese. About 3/4 of a cup will be about right. The recipe didn't call for cheese, but I just felt like it needed cheese. Why not, you guys? I love the cheese. And now I'm going to add my cornbread mix right on top of that. Just making sure that that is nice and even. I'm going to place this in the oven for what the Jiffy Cornbread mix says. So I believe it's like 415 for like 25 minutes. And that was absolutely perfect. Everything came out to be just right. You just want to make sure that it's not like runny in the middle. Some of it came out to be like in the middle. It came out to be runny. I don't know if that's just because of like the cheese. I'm not really sure. but you just want to double check that just to make sure that everything is cooked through. This was so good. I love like the Jiffy Cornbread mix just because it's a little bit more on the sweet side. So this was really, really good, and we just paired this with the salad. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I have tons of other videos just like this on my channel, so make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.